Good morning. It is me, and we're going to do Saturday Fantasy Baseball. It is still a little early, but you know we like to start early so we can get the sound in the chat room. I need to just record this little segment, and I can play it every time when we start the show. But the point is, we like to wait for our chat room to hear the sound before we get started, and that's why we start a couple minutes early, so we're always nice and prompt right at 9 a.m., and I'll just check for the sound. But you know, you can always find a podcast over here at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live. You can find us here 7 days a week at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's either Leonard or myself talking fantasy baseball. We love to do nuggets, tidbits, and all other kinds of things. And we have a great chat room that's very knowledgeable. And really the best part about the show is the chat room. So we appreciate everybody joining us. And we will go ahead and just get started as soon as the sound comes through live. In the meantime, I'll tell you about the Happy Hour Social Club you can find on Wednesday nights at 7:30 with King Hap and Taco and a great group of friends from Boston. It's a great chat room as well. You can also find their show and their channel on the Twitch app. It's Happy Hour SC for Happy Hour Social Club. So you can find that channel on the Twitch app. And we're just going to go ahead and get started as soon as I see the sound. But their show is very good. They talk all sports, not just baseball. They talk UFC, football, basketball, whatever, hockey. I know my stepson Mark, which is Lenny's son, is huge into hockey. His favorite team is the Avalanche, and so he was pretty upset when they lost in the playoffs, and now he's rooting for the New York team, which, how can you blame the kid being here on Long Island, right? We root for the New York team, and there's the sound. Sound is good to my friends in the chat room. Now we are going to get started. Thanks, Eddie Heckman. Great to see you, Eddie Heckman, and the rest of you. I knew it would be kind of light today, but I saw Malpal on Twitter, so I reached out to him and said, hello, remember me? Come on over to the chat room, please, so I could get some friends. And we do have some friends, some greats in the chat room today. Now it's a long weekend, so I won't be surprised if it's a little bit light today. Unholy, I hope you had such a wonderful birthday yesterday. We just love you, Unholy Toledo. Big L on the prowl, Boston Paul, Chris JP, also known as Zelmo's brother, Daniel Ferrara, Eddie and Teresa Heckman, Leonard Donaldson, Laura and Mary, Malpal, Rotorius, Tommy Johnson, Guest King Turd, whose name I will never get sick of saying, okay? Let's get started. We got a lot on tap today. I saw Rotorius looking for starting pitchers. I have a couple on my FAAB targets this weekend. Now, Smith-Shawver. Yes, A.J. Smith-Shawver, who Lenny did talk about the other day, but I just want to bring up some of the things that Turd told me, and this is just from memory, so forgive me if I forget some stuff, but Turd, you know, it's worth putting in the chat room a little more about this kid because he didn't really start even pitching until later in life. He's still very young. And, you know, last year when he came up, we had high expectations for this kid. He was able to go deep into games. I remember that about him. I know he throws the ball very hard. Not that that's a great asset at this point, but it definitely is good for striking out batters. But one thing that really touched my heart is that his name is Smith-Shawver, and that is because his real last name, his father's last name is Smith, but his stepdad raised him after he married his mom, and he also took on his stepdad's name, which melts my heart. Being a stepmom myself, it makes my heart happy. I know it doesn't say much about how he pitches, but just the general makeup of the kid, it seems to be very good. I know that our guest Turd will put in the chat room some extra tidbits that he knows. He's been following this kid around. Now, he's a disappointment for fantasy managers so far. He made 4 1/3 scoreless innings against the Cubs on Thursday, and then now he has an oblique strain. They say he could miss a couple months. They say it's grade 2, but there's this girl, this Braves fan girl, Cassidy McMahon, that I follow on X. She's a great follow if you're interested in Braves news. You can find her at it's at CassMac, CassMac, Cassidy McMahon. She brings up the fact that she thinks that they're just putting him on the injured list because they want to watch his innings, that he hasn't pitched very many innings. And I thought that's interesting. She's very knowledgeable. She has just a great outlook, and I'm not saying she's right. Obviously, they did tests on this kid, and they did find a grade 2 oblique strain. But it is an interesting theory. The phantom IL, strikes again. The Braves are not giving a timeline for his return, but a grade 2 left oblique, not a grade 2 left or right, just a grade 2 oblique strain requires 6 to 8 weeks of recovery. Now, here's something that I do not like about this. He says he felt discomfort in the 3rd inning, but he didn't tell the team's medical staff until he was removed from the game. That is not great, okay? Oh, well, happy birthday, Unholy. Absolutely. You should celebrate your birthday for like a week straight. That's what I do at this age because they all suck. So why not celebrate the whole damn week, right, Toledo? That's what I say. So happy birthday to you, my friend. We'll continue to celebrate as long as we want. And greetings to Mitchell Hartson, Chris from Cambridge. Good to see you. Tommy Johnson, Big Al on the prowl. Love the chat room. Absolutely. Now, I do not like that Smith-Shawver did not tell anybody about his aching, okay? But the Braves, they had to recall Kerr, Kerr. He was optioned earlier in the week. Now he's back. He was very effective as a multi-inning reliever this month, but he got his first career start against the Pirates last night. He went 4 innings, 6 strikeouts. His ERA on the season is now 5.40. That's because of 5 earned runs, 72 pitches to get through 4 innings. This guy is not somebody that you want to go pick up. Ray Kerr is not on my list of starters to target as a FAAB guy, but he is replacing A.J. Smith-Shawver, and it's really, that's all they have. Their rotation consists of Max Fried, Chris Sale, Charlie Morton, Reynaldo Lopez, and Ray Kerr, with both Spencer Strider and A.J. Smith-Shawver on the injured list. This guy, Ray Kerr, is a lefty, but his ground ball percentage is only 39%, and he does have a great strikeout percentage, 30% strikeouts. Now, the Nationals have Joey Gallo. He's batting 160 with a 287 on base percentage over his last 162 games. That's one full season. He has 227 strikeouts and just 70 hits in 516 plate appearances. That is a 44% strikeout percentage, and he pretty much has been playing every single game since he has been activated from the injured list. So on May 17th, he was activated and he's played first base every single game. And I just wonder why the Nationals are putting this guy out at first base when he's so bad. All he does is bring the rest of the hitters and the whole dang lineup down with him. Joey Meneses finally got eligibility at first base, so we don't care if he's the designated hitter or the first baseman. But the point is, the Nationals have a first baseman in Joey Meneses, and they don't need to keep throwing Joey Gallo in their lineup. Hello to Leonard Donaldson. Hello to Eddie Heckman. Ooh, Eddie Heckman is open to the idea of Bauer coming to Oriole Park. The O's are down to almost 0 starting pitchers, and we will talk about the Orioles situation with the pitchers too. And yes, Burns and Grayson are pitching. Also, is it Bradish, the other guy that was already on the injured list this year? So basically you have one pitcher that's been healthy all season, and it's still fairly early, by the way, but we'll talk about the Orioles in a future tidbit today. Don't worry. Meneses will break out. I'll give you one guess to figure out who that's coming from. Now, to you Yankee fans out there, what do you think about the Yankees re-signing Juan Soto? Of course, the Yankees fans are on, they're happy right now, okay? Everybody's elated as a Yankee right now. So the fans and the players and everybody's doing good. But if they do decide to re-sign Soto or to sign him to a long-term contract, they're going to have to get rid of, think of it, they'll probably have to get rid of Rizzo, Verdugo, Torres, Clay Holmes, because they're all becoming free agents next year, and the manager or the owner, Hal Steinbrenner, he says we have to cut down on our payroll. And so, while it's such a great idea to think about Juan Soto signing again with the Yankees, I don't know, man. When they say they're going to cut down on payroll, does that even really mean anything? Because they continue to spend money regardless. I mean, it's not like they have a low payroll to begin with. And if the Yankees say they can't spend as much on payroll, okay, good. Maybe they'll get below the threshold where they don't have to pay all this extra money for taxes. Kodai Senga, poor Mets. He's going to be shut down another 3 to 5 days because he's got triceps inflammation that was shown by a recent MRI. He did receive a cortisone shot, and the good news, according to Carlos Mendoza, the manager, he says at least it's just inflammation. Now, Kodai Senga has not pitched all season, and last year he pitched very good. So people who have him on their team, managers, fantasy managers, are just not pleased. Now his estimated return is July 5th. Okay? Now we're talking about the best pizza in Toledo. If you have a question, you could go ahead and ask Unholy because he lives there and he knows what's going on with the pizza. Dan Plesac gave his top 5 lefties in the game, and number 5 is Kikuchi. I think Lenny loves to say the name, so he puts in any tidbit he can find with Kikuchi in it. So the number 1, he has number 1 Ranger Suarez, and I would argue that number 1 is Shota Imanaga, but he has him ranked number 2. He has Tarek Skubal 3, Chris Sale 4, and once again, Lenny's favorite, Kikuchi 5. Now, speaking of those Yankees, they keep on rolling. They thumped the Padres 8-0 with 4 home runs yesterday. They are now on pace for 110 wins and 52 losses. Soto, Judge, Stanton, and Glaber hit home runs, and the Yankees have won 10 of their last 12. Not to mention their hitting. Now the Judges finally woke up. You could say the starters have gone at least 4 innings in all 53 games this season. They've only had 4 longer streaks at any point in a single season, and you do know that they're missing their best pitcher, Garrett Cole. In a span of 4 batters yesterday, Juan Soto hit 423-foot home run with an exit velocity of 107.9 miles an hour. Aaron Judge hit a 409-foot homer with an exit velocity of 104.9 miles an hour. And Giancarlo Stanton hit a 417-foot homer going 110.9 miles an hour off of his bat. The Yankees are 37-4 when Stanton and Judge homer in the same game. Now, the Padres starter, Yu Darvish, he entered yesterday with a career-high 25 scoreless inning streak. He gave up 3 homers and 6 runs in the 3rd inning. He hadn't given up more than 4 runs in a game all season, and it turns out on the day, Darvish allowed 7 runs on 9 hits, and he walked 1. He struck out 5 in 5 2/3, and he took the loss. I told you 3 of those homers came in the 3rd inning, so he's still doing good on the season. His season ERA is still 3.04 with a .99 whip, 51 strikeouts and 14 walks in 51 and a third innings across 10 starts. His next start comes against the Marlins at home. Yes, that was a very clunker. That's true. The Mets are the 5th team in Major League history to hit at least 3 home runs in 3 consecutive games and lose all 3. That's right, Laura. The Mets are the 5th team in Major League history to hit at least 3 homers in 3 consecutive games and lose all 3 games. But Christian Scott, doing pretty good, limited the damage after he allowed an early home run. He retired the final 12 batters he faced and struck out 4 of the last 6. He went 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and 94 pitches. Now, through 4 MLB starts, Christian Scott's ERA is 3.97. As for Mark Vientos, he's batting .367 with a .441 on base percentage. 3 home runs in 10 games, 5 strikeouts to 4 walks. That's pretty good, and a 4-game hitting streak. Now, manager Carlos Mendoza has pledged to play Brett Beatty at least once this weekend, but it's really hard to take Vientos out right now. And now that JD Martinez is playing DH, it's tough. It's kind of crowded over there, and it's great for the Mets to have those 2 guys both fighting for time. You know, it's much better than both of them stinking. 2 months ago, Louis Gil was trying to beat out Beater and Warren. A month ago, he came on the Rookie of the Year radar, and today he's in play for an All-Star Game start and a Cy Young. Gil has replaced Cole in every way. The San Francisco Giants are the 4th team to win 3 straight games after trailing by 4 or more runs in each since 1900. But Luis Arias, now a Padre, has 8 more multi-hit games than strikeouts this season. That's 8 more multi-hit games than strikeouts. Okay, he has 8 straight multi-hit games, and since joining the Padres on May 4th, entering the weekend, he was batting .391 with a .425 on-base percentage, but now, after yesterday, he's batting .419 since he joined the Padres, and Aaron Judge is batting .433 since Arias joined the Padres too. The batting average in baseballs right now, Arias actually comes in second to Ohtani, but they're very close. Ohtani 341.6 and Arias 341.2. George Kirby's making his 67th career MLB start. That was yesterday, and he just walked his 47th batter in 67 starts. This guy is a phenom when it comes to not walking batters. His whip is still 103, but his ERA on the season is not great. It's 4.33. And also, since April 3rd, his ERA is 4.85 with 49 strikeouts in 55 innings. And I'll tell you what, he is not striking out enough batters. Yes, he may not walk anybody, but his strikeouts are measly. Last night, he pitched 6 innings and he only struck out 3 batters. Jarren Duran, the Red Sox, went 1 for 3 with a solo home run and a steal of home plate on Tuesday. Now he's hit safely in 7 straight games, batting 10 for 27 with a .370 batting average, a pair of triples, 2 solo home runs, and stolen bases during that stretch. He's batting .344 with a .417 on base percentage, 9 extra base hits over the past 8 games, 6 outs above average, which is tied for 3rd among outfielders, 8 triples, that's the most in MLB, and 11 stolen bases, tied for 5th most in the American League. Longest active streaks of not getting shut out, the Atlanta Braves, 172 games, Phillies, 41 games. Think of that. The Braves have not been shut out in 172 games, and the next best one is the Phillies at 41. Now, Mackenzie Gore has upped his game as far as pitching 97 plus miles an hour. The number of pitches he threw over 97 in 2023 was 59. So far this season, Mackenzie Gore has thrown 174 pitches at 97 plus miles per hour. Now, we've seen 35 MLB hitters have 4-hit games just this month, and their teams are 34-1 in those games. Lamont Wade has reached base 76 of the 158 times he has come to the plate. That's 48%. Good job, Lamont Wade Jr. The Cleveland Guardians have a better record than the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Orioles. They seem to be an excellent team. Detroit activated Kenta Maeda. They reinstated him from the 15-day injured list. They optioned Matt Manning to AAA Toledo in a corresponding move. Now, Maeda took the ball against the Blue Jays. He went 5 scoreless innings. He was only down for the minimal 2 weeks after battling an illness. You know, he signed a 2-year free agent deal last offseason, and he's pitching with an ERA of 5.8 over his first 8 starts. His 15.8% strikeout rate is well down from 27.3% that he had in his final 2 seasons with the Twins. He also surrendered 9 home runs over 35 2/3 innings, which is 2.27 home runs per 9. Most of the damage has been concentrated over 3 bad starts, though. He gave up at least 6 runs in each of those 3 starts. Now, the Orioles have announced that they have recalled right-hander Dylan Tate and left-hander Nick Vespi. That's because they put Dean Kremer on the 15-day injured list with a right tricep strain. His IL is, the move is retroactive to May 21st. The Orioles have not provided any information about the severity of Kremer's injury. Just a week ago, the Orioles began a stretch of playing 42 games in 44 days, and they were planning to go with a 6-man rotation to keep their starters fresh, but John Means also landed on the injured list due to a forearm strain. So right now, the rotation in Baltimore is Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish, and Grayson Rodriguez. That's it. Let's hope that bullpen stands up, Eddie and Teresa. Miguel Andujar went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs in his season debut yesterday. He has RBI singles in the first and 7th innings. He missed nearly 2 months with a torn meniscus in his right knee, and he hit .389 during a 5-game rehab stint at AAA Las Vegas. He will join a suddenly crowded Oakland outfield with his best chance for playing time coming in left field in competition with fellow righties Brent Rooker and Daz Cameron. All right, let's get going on some targets, some FAAB targets. Hello to Daniel Ferrara. Hello to Rotorius and everybody. Thanks for joining us on this wonderful Memorial Weekend. And we will say thank you to all of those who gave their lives fighting for our freedom. And that's it. Lenny went to see his granddaughter today for breakfast at the diner. And not his granddaughter. He doesn't have a granddaughter. Not yet, anyway. His daughter, Rachel, who's getting married in November. That's why he's not in the chat room today, but he's off visiting his daughter, so that's good. Anyway, let's go to the FAAB targets. Starting pitchers, Tyler Anderson. Look, I put these guys on the list because this is what we got, and this is what people are going to be talking about. This guy, Tyler Anderson, he's got a 2.52 ERA on the season. He's got 3 straight wins against the Royals, the Rangers, and the Astros. He's definitely part of the Angels rotation. He comes number 3 in the rotation because they have a lot of injuries and stuff, and they don't really have a deep starting pitcher rotation to begin with. But here's the thing. Now, let's say the good stuff. Yes, 3 wins, 3 straight wins against decent teams, Royals, Rangers, and Astros. And he has a 3.60 and a 105 whip with 13 Ks in those victories. I also mentioned his 44 strikeouts and his 5-4 record with a 2.52 ERA. But the Yankees he faces next week, and it is a home game, but he's still facing a very tough team. And upon further digging on this guy, he's not a good pitcher. He is not recommended to pick up. His ground ball percentage is only 35.4. His strikeout percentage is only 17.1. His batting average on balls in play is only 209, which means he's getting very lucky. And his fielding independent percentage is way higher than his actual ERA. It is 4.29. I do not trust Tyler Anderson, although I have to admit I have him on a team, a dynasty league, 50-player dynasty league. I don't recommend spending a lot of money on this guy, and I definitely don't recommend starting him against the Yankees. They are on fire right now, but be it as it will, that's why I bring him up. He's not owned in a lot of leagues. So Ben Lively is the next guy on the list, and I feel like it's kind of the same with this guy. I mean, you look at his recent stats. Now, the good thing about Ben Lively is he's definitely in the rotation for now. He's the number 4 starting pitcher for the Guardians. He's going to get a lot of run support because, as I mentioned earlier, this team is good. So if you have to choose between Ben Lively and Tyler Anderson, I'm taking Lively just based on the fact that he's on a team that's going to give him some good run support, okay? And also, you look at his ERA. It's a 2.84 with a 1.24 whip, okay, on the season. All 3 of his wins have come in May. He was pitching against the Mets on May 20th. He allowed 1 run and 6 hits in 5 2/3. He tied a season high with 7 strikeouts that game. His next scheduled start is tomorrow against the Angels, so you'll have another opportunity to see what he does. And it's probably going to affect how much you're going to have to spend on him based on what he does tomorrow. But he did already defeat the Angels on May 4th, and he did go 6 innings of 1-run ball that day. Now, here's the problem with him. Another guy that doesn't even induce enough ground balls, 29% ground ball rate. Also, his strikeouts are decent, 24.4%, but his FIP is way worse than his ERA, even though his batting average on balls in play is still 290. So it tells me he is getting lucky. 90.7% of the runners he allows on base are stuck there. That is going to turn around eventually. This is only a guy that you want to target for streaming purposes, and he is on a good team, and he faces a good matchup coming up, so we'll see what happens there. Now, as far as relievers, you got Daniel Hudson, and he is available in at least one of my leagues, and that's why I put him on this list. He was injured to start the season. So this is the thing. Evan Phillips is the closer for the Dodgers. You know these guys get a lot of opportunities for saves in LA because those pesky Dodgers win a lot of games. Daniel Hudson is not great. He's over the hill. He's 37 years old, but he is one of the first options that the Dodgers are going to for closing duties. And not only that, he gets high leverage situations, so he could get wins, and he already has 8 holds on the season. He only has a 33.3% ground ball rate, which is not great. But, as I mentioned, if he's available, he will get some saves and some high leverage work, including some holds and maybe some wins, okay, until Evan Phillips comes back. For the catcher position, you could grab David Fry, okay? He's a Cleveland Guardian catcher. He also plays first base and outfield, which is what they're using him for now. But he still qualifies at catcher, which is a dream come true for fantasy managers. He has 6 home runs and 86 at-bats. He hasn't hit below 5th in the batting order since early April, and if you look at his graphs on RotoWire, you will see he doesn't run that fast, but all of his stats are green. He only strikes out 19% of the time, but he walks 18% of the time, so he gets on base a lot. His on-base percentage is actually .500, if you could believe that. And he's batting .360 on the season. The fact that he qualifies at catcher is a godsend, and it's great for fantasy managers. He came into the season qualified at catcher and first, most likely, unless you need 20 games, because he only played 19 at first last year. But so far this season, he's played 12 games at catcher, 8 at first base, 3 games at third base, and 9 games in the outfield. He's getting to play every day. He's the highlight of my FAAB targets this week, David Fry. Another guy you could target, this is a first baseman, Alec Burleson, 25-year-old outfielder and first baseman for the Cardinals. Lefty, and I will say this, he doesn't hit lefties great this year. He's only batting .226 against lefties and .320 against righties, but it hasn't stopped him from getting in the lineup. The Cardinals' last 13 games, he has started and hit in the heart of the lineup in 12 of 13. He has a great contact rate and has ever since he's moved up to the majors. It's over 80%, so he does make a lot of contact, and he's still young, 25 years old. Luke Raley for the Mariners, another guy that really needs to... He has been turning it on, by the way, and the Mariners really need some offense right now. They're having some struggles, even though they're leading the American League West right now. Okay, the standings show the Mariners at the top, but they've been struggling with offense. As you know, Julio Rodriguez has not lived up to his potential, and Luke Raley has been doing pretty good as of late. Actually, on the season, he's batting .281 with 4 homers, 3 stolen bases. And from May 13th to the 21st, this guy, Luke Raley, went 15 for 33. That was good for a .455 batting average and a 1.24 OPS. He smacked 3 of his 4 home runs on the season during that stretch and added a pair of steals in that span. Raley also scored 7 times and drove in 6 runs. He sits most of the time against lefties, so he is somebody to keep an eye on in leagues with daily moves, but his hot streak has moved him up to 3rd spot in the batting order, so Luke Raley for the Mariners at first base. Second base, Dylan Moore, another Mariner here, where this is the Seattle Mariner day. Now, Dylan Moore has been on fire lately. On the season, Dylan Moore is .242 batting average, 6 home runs, and 8 stolen bases. And on May 21st, he was batting 9th. He went 3 for 4 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Now, that's part of a 6-game run when he went 9 for 19 with 6 runs and 6 RBI. I told you Seattle is first in the American League West standings, but they're last in runs scored in the division, if you could believe that. I think this is thanks to their pitching, right? But all but one of Dylan Moore's homers have come in May. And right now, in this month of May, he's batting .293 with 12 extra base hits, 15 RBI, and 12 runs scored. All right? Dylan Moore, second baseman. Another second baseman we have is Nick Gonzalez, and you spell his last name with an S at the end, not a Z. He's 24-year-old second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was the 7th overall pick in the 2020 MLB first-year player draft, and he was not good in his big league debut last year. He came up, he batted .209 in 35 games, so they sent him back down to AAA to start the season, but he was mashing down at AAA this season, a 1.039 OPS in 30 games at AAA. He was called up, and he was called up on May 10th this year, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Now, just yesterday, this kid, Nick Gonzalez, for the Pirates, went 2 for 3 with a walk, a double, 4 RBIs, and a run scored against the Braves, mind you. He's in the midst of a 5-game hitting streak, and in that span of 5 games, he's gone 8 for 20 with 7 RBI and 3 runs scored. He is batting 5th in the order and should be the Pirates' everyday second baseman for the foreseeable future. Well, that's nice, Eddie. That's so nice, Eddie. I love it. Okay, love it. All right, so for shortstop, let's talk about Tyler Freeman. Actually, I was going to skip Tyler Freeman because he's owned in a lot of leagues, but let's talk about him anyway. On May 12th, which is a little over 10 days ago, the Guardians put Freeman in the leadoff spot, and he went 0 for 5. But after that, he's only struck out once in 9 games, going 11 for 28 and scored 10 times. He's even stolen 2 bases. The thing about Freeman, he's eligible at 4 different positions, so he's very movable chess piece. The Cleveland Guardians shortstop Tyler Freeman, also eligible at 4 spots. I like Mason Wynn for the Cardinals. He's not owned practically anywhere. He's only 22 years old. He's a shortstop. And a couple days ago, which is May 23rd, he went 2 for 4 with a solo home run, a double, and 2 runs scored. That was Wednesday, and that was against the Baltimore Orioles. He also hit safely in his last 11 games, and during that span, he's gone 15 for 41, which is a .366 batting average, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. On the season, he's batting .295 with a .348 on-base percentage, over 157 plate appearances this season, and he now hits leadoff against the lefties. So that's a good thing. The Cardinals are letting him bat leadoff for the lefties. And my show did not go very late today, so I'll visit with the chat room for a little while. I don't have any outfielders for you today. I'm sorry. A lot of this stuff that I get comes from RotoWire. I would be nothing without the site RotoWire, and I appreciate all the hard work they do. I add my own little tidbits to it, but for the most part, I get a lot of my stuff from RotoWire, and I wouldn't be able to do this show as easily if it wasn't for the stuff that they do there. Their player pages are great. They offer every single stat you need to know. You can create like any dates you want. You can say, I want to know what they did from May 2nd to May 15th. You could do that so quickly and easily, and it will give you all the stats for those 2 weeks or however long you want it. It's just a nice, helpful website, and we appreciate it a lot. So great job to Andrea, great job to Daniel Ferrara, great job to Laura, Triple Play, Tommy Johnson, Boston Paul at the beautiful park today. It looks like it's a beautiful day in Wisconsin. Unholy celebrating his birthday. We love you, Unholy. Tell all the dogs hello. Give them some love for us. And Eddie Heckman went to a diner yesterday. They took very nice care of him. We appreciate taking care of our Eddie Heckman. Yes, Colt Keith. Let me talk about Colt Keith. I skipped him because I'm kind of annoyed at him. I know it's stupid. He plays second and third base. So He's only batting 171. He went 0 for 2 on May 15th, but he did bang out 4 hits in 5 at-bats in his next game and scored 3 runs with a pair of RBIs. And that started a run where he went 11 for 18 with a 1.34 OPS. He's a top prospect. 4 RBIs in those 5 games. We don't know for sure if he's figured it out, but he does qualify as second and third, and he's in my lineup in several leagues. I just didn't want to punish you by telling you to put him in because he's been nothing but a nightmare. I hope he's turned it on. I hope he's figured it out. You know, you really gotta... He plays for the Detroit Tigers. They signed him to an extension before the season started, so... He was able to start the season on the big league club, and I went for it. Everybody was all talking about him, and I should have known better. But I'm glad that the Detroit Tigers have given him the opportunity because no matter how bad you are, I think the worst thing you could do for a youngster is to just not let him work through it, right? I mean, you signed this guy, you let him come up, you gave him this opportunity, and the fact that they let him work through it, that makes me happy. I also understand the other side of it, like with the Orioles, they have so many good youngsters, they can't give the leash that they would give on a team that isn't very good because they need those positions to be hitting well and playing well. And there's plenty of other people that are ready to take over the spot if one youngster is not cutting it. But Detroit is one of those teams where you know they're going to probably deal with the ups and downs with the youngsters. And the Detroit Tigers have done that with Colt Keith. He's not owned in very many leagues. He probably started the season on more leagues or owned in more leagues than he is now because people have been frustrated. And yes, Malpal, thanks for bringing him up. Absolutely could have figured it out by now. What else we got? The last 31 days, Colt Keith is batting .323. That's excellent. That's excellent. Leonard Donaldson says J.J. Bleday and Andahar, who we talked about earlier in the show, is also a possible outfielder to target. Thank you so much for sharing a couple outfielder. Also, King Turd says that Wyatt Langford should return on Tuesday. That's a breath of fresh air. Love to hear it. This is why you come to the chat room, okay? This is why you come to the chat room, so you could... We just love the people in here. They add so much to the podcast. Our Captain Danny is in Miami this morning, and so is King Hap. Are they both hanging out together, or what? Also, Boston Paul brings up Richard Palacios. He's a Tampa Bay outfielder. Don't know anything else about him, except for that's it. So if you're interested in some outfielders, I gave you a little list, thanks to our chat room, okay, contributing. And Colt Keith up to 237, just like that. I won't read Unholy's comments because they're dirty. And I don't mind them at all. We love the dirty language, but we can't talk about it on the show. Merrill Hartson, great to see you too. And I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything to add. Daniel Ferrara says he won 75 cents in DraftKings, so please give him some privacy so he can figure out what to do with his earnings. Can you buy bubble gum for 25 or 75 cents anymore? It used to be 1 cent. Can you buy a stick of licorice for 75 cents anymore? Good morning to Merrill. Too bad you missed most of it, but you can listen on demand. And thanks everybody for coming around. Lenny will be back. We'll do Lady and the Legend in the morning. And we hope everybody has just a wonderful day.